Welcome to Executive Excellence Academy. EEA is designed to help professionals and leaders build practical executive capability, not just by learning concepts, but by understanding how to apply them in real organizations. Our teaching philosophy is simple. Knowledge must become leadership, experience must become wisdom, and ideas must create organizational impact. This governance series is part of that mission. Across this series, we will explore 1. Governance foundations, 2. Enterprise governance, 3. IT and technology governance, 4. AI governance, 5. Cybersecurity and risk governance, 6. Portfolio and PMO, that is project management office governance, and 7. Governance leadership. By the end of this presentation, you will understand how organizations use governance to make better decisions, align strategy with execution, manage risk, and deliver measurable value. So let us begin with Lesson 1.1 of Governance 101, Why Organizations Need Governance. Now that we have introduced Executive Excellence Academy and Governance series, let us begin with Lesson 1.1 of Governance 101, Why Organizations Need Governance. Here, we will focus on 3 simple questions. First, what does governance really mean? Second, why do organizations need governance? Third, how does governance help to turn strategy into responsible execution? Many people think governance is only about rules, approvals, committees, or compliance. But governance is much more than that. Governance is a leadership system. It helps organizations make better decisions, create accountability, manage risk, and deliver value. The key idea for this lesson is simple. Governance turns intention into disciplined impact. Here's the big question. Leaders set the strategy, but how does that strategy actually become action? That's where governance shows up. Governance can sound like a fancy word for red tape, approvals, committees, compliance, and a lot of waiting around. But when it's done well, it's actually much more useful and much less painful. Good governance gives people clarity, where we're going, who gets to decide, and who's accountable for what. In plain English, it helps answer 4 really practical questions. Where are we headed? Who's making the call? How do we make sure things actually happen? And how do we keep the work connected to the strategy? Governance isn't just about control. At its best, it's the system that turns big ideas into coordinated action. Bottom line, governance helps leaders move from here's what we want to do to here's how we're going to make it happen. Now that we understand what governance really means, let us look at why governance exists. Governance exists because organizations are complex. As organizations grow, more people are involved, more technology is introduced, more investments are made, and more risks must be managed. Without governance, decisions can become inconsistent. Priorities can become unclear, risks can remain hidden, and execution can slowly drift away from the original strategy. This is one of the biggest reasons organizations struggle. It is not always because the strategy is bad. Many times, there is no strong governance system to guide execution. Governance helps leaders balance 4 important things. First is purpose. Purpose means staying focused on the mission, not getting lost in disconnected activities. Second is value. This means investments and work should create measurable outcomes. Third is risk. Risk means leaders must understand what could go wrong and manage it early. And fourth is trust. Trust means stakeholders, customers, employees, and regulators should have confidence in how the organization operates. So the key message is this: governance protects purpose while enabling progress. Good governance does not stop execution. It makes execution more responsible, more aligned, and more valuable. Now, let us clarify an important distinction. Is governance, management, and PMO are related? But they are not the same. Governance is about direction, decision rights, accountability, and guardrails. It helps leaders to decide what should be done, why it matters, and what boundaries must be respected. Management is about execution. Management takes the direction and turns it into work. It manages people, resources, budgets, operations, vendors, and delivery activities. The PMO, or Project Management Office, provides structure and visibility. It helps with standards, reporting, schedules, risks, dependencies, and governance cadence. A simple way to remember the difference is this. Governance asks, should we do this? Management asks, how will we do this? PMO asks, are we on track? When these three work together, organizations get better alignment, better execution, and better visibility. But when they are confused, governance can become too operational, management can make decisions without guardrails, and the PMO can become only a reporting function. The key message is this: governance provides direction, management drives execution, and the PMO creates visibility. Now that we understand the roles of governance, management, and PMO, let us look at the building blocks of a strong governance system. Good governance is not created by one committee, one policy, or one report. It is built from a repeatable pattern. The first building block is structure. Structure defines the governance forums, roles, authority, and escalation paths. It tells people where decisions are made and who has the authority to make them. The second building block is policies. Policies create principles, standards, controls, and guardrails. They help people understand what is acceptable, what is required, and what must be escalated. The third building block is decisions. Governance must clarify how priorities are set, how approvals happen, how trade-offs are handled, and who is accountable for the decision. The fourth building block is performance. Governance must track whether the organization is achieving the intended outcomes. This includes metrics, benefits, value realization, and progress against strategy. The fifth building block is risk. Governance must make risk visible early. It should support compliance, controls, corrective action, and responsible execution. The key message is this: without structure, governance becomes personality-driven. With structure, it becomes an institutional capability. Now, let us look at governance as an operating loop. Governance is not just a one-time approval process. It is not something that happens only at the beginning of a project or once during a committee meeting. Good governance works as a continuous loop. First is strategy. This defines the purpose, priorities, and outcomes. It answers the question, what are we trying to achieve? Second is governance decisions. This translates the strategy into priorities, approvals, funding choices, and guardrails. This is where leaders decide what should move forward and under what conditions. Third is execution. This turns those decisions into work. Teams deliver projects, manage resources, solve problems, and track progress. Fourth is risk and value, and this must be monitored. Leaders need to know what risks are emerging, whether benefits are being realized, and whether the organization is still moving in the right direction. The most important part is feedback. Information from execution must flow back into governance decisions. If risks increase, if benefits are not being achieved, or if priorities change, leaders must adjust. That is why governance is a loop, not a line. The key message is this: a governance loop is only useful when information flows back into decisions. Now let us look at another important point. Governance is not one thing. When many people hear the word governance, they think only about corporate governance or board-level oversight. But in modern organizations, governance exists across many connected domains. Corporate governance focuses on board oversight, accountability, and stakeholder responsibility. Enterprise governance connects strategy, performance, risk, and value across the organization. IT and technology governance help leaders make better decisions about technology investments, platforms, architecture, delivery, and operations. AI governance, which is becoming increasingly important as organizations adopt artificial intelligence. There is cybersecurity, data, risk, and compliance governance, which helps protect the organization and maintain trust. Portfolio, program, and PMO governance helps ensure that investments, projects, and transformation programs stay aligned with strategy. The key point is this: these governance domains should not operate as isolated silos. They must connect through common direction, decision-making, accountability, and value. In Lesson 1.2, we will go deeper into the different types of governance. But for now, remember this executive insight. The real skill is not just knowing each governance domain separately. The real skill is knowing how these governance domains connect across the enterprise. Now that we understand governance as a connected, enterprise-wide discipline, let us look at what happens when governance is weak. Poor governance usually shows up before failure becomes obvious. One common warning sign is misaligned priorities. Teams may be working very hard, but they may not be working in the same direction. Different groups may pursue different goals, even when they are part of the same organization. Another warning sign is unclear decision rights. When people do not know who has the authority to decide, approvals slow down, decisions get revisited, accountability becomes unclear. A third warning sign is hidden risk. In weak governance environments, risks are often discovered too late. By the time leaders see the issue, cost, schedule, compliance, reputation, or stakeholder trust may already be affected. The fourth warning sign is benefit leakage. This means projects may technically finish, but the organization does not receive the full value that was expected. The work is done, but the business outcome is weak. This is why governance matters. Poor governance does not always create immediate failure. Sometimes it creates confusion, delay, rework, risk, and lost value over time. The key message is this: poor governance turns effort into confusion. Good governance turns effort into value. Now that we have looked at the warning signs of poor governance, let us look at what good governance creates. Good governance creates 4 executive outcomes: clarity, confidence, control, and value. First, let us go over clarity. Good governance makes priorities, roles, decision rights, and boundaries clear. People understand what matters, who decides, and what guardrails must be followed. Second is confidence. Leaders can make better decisions when they have reliable information. Good governance improves visibility into progress, risks, trade-offs, and outcomes. Third, control. Control does not mean slowing everything down. It means leaders can see risks early and manage them before they become enterprise-level problems. Fourth, value. Governance helps to ensure that investments, programs, projects, and initiatives are connected to measurable outcomes. It reduces benefit leakage and helps the organization to realize the value it intended to create. This is why good governance is not the enemy of speed. In fact, when governance is designed well, it helps organizations move faster, with confidence, because the direction and guardrails are clear. The key message is this: good governance gives leaders the courage to move faster because the guardrails are clear. Let us close Lesson 1.1 with the executive takeaway. Governance is not paperwork. Governance is not just committees, approvals, or compliance. Governance is the leadership discipline that converts strategy into responsible execution. In this lesson, we learned that governance helps to create direction without confusion, decisions without chaos, execution without uncontrolled risk, and value without benefit leakage. We also learned that governance connects strategy, execution, technology, risk, and value. That connection is what allows organizations to move forward with clarity, confidence, control, and measurable outcomes. The most important message is this: governance turns intention into disciplined impact. In the next lesson, Lesson 1.2, we will look at the major types of governance and governance domains, including corporate governance, enterprise governance, IT governance, AI governance, cybersecurity and data governance, risk and compliance governance, portfolio, program, and PMO governance. Thank you for joining this Executive Excellence Academy lesson. I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson.